The Retro Buzz starts right after this.
Hey guys, welcome to the Retro Buzz. It's Friday. We talk everything gaming, arcades, special toys. Well, not today because I've got this guy here, and what? Now you have a Corona. You do wait. No. You do realize you can't drink that through that mask, right?
Well, wait a second. I was told you get free Coronas with the mask. They didn't tell me. Oh, I didn't even think about that.
The doctors and everything said that that's not going to protect you from the virus, and these people are online. Where did you? You know what? Did you not get the memo?
You know what? I don't know.
Well, you take care. Take care of your mask. We got a guest of honor here with us. We've got Travis McPherson from YouTube.com/TravisMCP. We've got audio, and you're on.
Hey, you know, I'm so thankful to be here. Thank you so much for allowing me to come on. I watched the show. I know Glen. I know all the things. I love arcade games. I am in and so ready. Let's do this. I'm so excited.
Well, you know, I'm glad you decided to save me because Doug is on vacation. He thought he was going to make it back today, and we thought we'd have the four of us today. But you're going to have to help me keep this guy in the middle under wraps here because he's...
Yeah, I have knowledge. I have knowledge about Doug. We'll get into that. But, you know,
he's old. Okay, so he tends to make everybody start nodding off about halfway through it. PK will send me a message, be like, "You need to wrap the show up. Glenn's going off the deep end." No, I'm just kidding. He doesn't do that. I don't want to get Pete. So let's talk a little bit about news. There's a really hot item that hit, and there's a reason Glen was wearing the mask. And if you guys didn't see it, and I'm being completely serious, those of you that pre-ordered the TurboGrafx 16, we saw earlier, guys, it looks like Konami has pulled the plug, and they said, well, until further notice, nothing is coming over. We're not going to get it on March 19th like we thought. And I know, Glen, you have a hypothesis as to why this is happening.
Oh, I have much more than hypothesis. I know the truth about this whole situation. It's no coincidence that we have the coronavirus coming out right now. The TurboGrafx 16 got canceled, and Doug is on vacation. Now, if you remember last time on the Retro Buzz, Doug and I were kind of going back and forth over which is the better machine. Of course, I know it's the TurboGrafx 16. He was sticking by Sega. Now, all of a sudden, he's supposedly on vacation in Florida. That's not where he's at. He's in China right now, spreading this around, and he's stopping production of this machine to come out. So, Doug, I can't believe we went down that path, man. You should let the public make the determination. But no, Doug had to go well above and beyond and sabotage Konami and all of us out here from getting a TurboGrafx 16 Mini so he can have the Sega Genesis Mini, keeping the world order as it is. Not cool, Doug. Not cool.
Travis, can you, rein him back in or something here?
I'm guessing that's not actually what happened, but I'm pretty sure that's not what happened, everybody. So settle down, everybody. Settle down, Glen. Settle down. I need you to calm down.
I will say, and I'm not trying to make light of the situation. I know there's a lot of people that are at risk of this, and our thoughts and prayers go out to those people. But in the same aspect, I think this is something that's it's gonna be around for a long time. And I'm kind of worried, and I wanted to get your thoughts because AtGames released the press release a couple weeks ago. We had the folks on about the new the Joy table that you could set up and hook it up to the Legends Gamer, that you can hook up to your TV and play it, and that's supposed to be coming in a couple months. And then you have the brand new Arcade1up cabinets. Toy Shock has been completely quiet because nothing can ship. What's that going to do for this industry, guys? I mean, Travis, you review phones, you review a whole mess of tech goodies. Have you seen it on your end? Delays and companies saying, well, Travis, we just can't get it to you because it's just not coming in yet.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing it across not only tech, but conferences. I know South by Southwest was just canceled. There's Facebook has a big thing. They canceled. Google has a big get together. They canceled. We're going to just see this more and more. And the products that are being done like outside of China, some manufacturers are actually trying to move their stuff to Vietnam. I don't know because they saw that or the trade war or whatever, but we are seeing delays on a lot of things. And the reality is if there's something in low demand now, whether it be headphones, phones, or video games, you need to get it now because we don't know when we're going to see a replenishment of like any of that stuff across like any industry. People just don't know.
So that means, Glenn, you have a new toy that's behind you that's up on the Legends cabinet, and that could put a halt on that for some people. So why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Well, actually, a lot of things too. I mean, obviously you're talking about the L-Link, marquee up here, but even stuff where I manufacture. I mean, we have the Tron joysticks, we have the the thing for the Star Wars Yoke over here. All that stuff is done in China. I mean, it's just a fact. Manufacturing is done there. It's not impacting me at the moment, but I guarantee if this goes on much longer, it's going to start because they just don't have parts coming into the manufacturers to assemble things. So even if the arcade manufacturers have people staffed there, if they can't get the smaller components from other manufacturers, they can't build anything. So it's not serious yet, but if this goes on for another couple of weeks, it's going to be not only bad on the tech side, but just every side, because everything comes from there. I mean, baby wipes, diapers, all this stuff comes from there. It's true. So it's one of those things where I joke on Apple a lot. I mean, you guys know I pick on them because it's an American company. I do love Apple, but I do think a lot of things they do can be, I'm serious. I'm being serious. And one of the things Steve Jobs tried to do and always tried to do was manufacture in the States.
Right.
When Apple was around, he always manufactured in the States. He did it for as long as he could, but even he couldn't stop the cost of things. He had to go overseas just like everyone else. But he fought up to his dying breath to talk to the president, to talk to the senators, to have manufacturing brought back to the States. And, I've always had, a hate relationship with the government because of things like that. Because these big corporations have the people in their pocket and they're sending stuff overseas, jobs, production. And now look what happens here. We are screwed on a certain point. Now, if we could manufacture some part here, 50%, 25%, it wouldn't be as bad. But we have none. When is the last time you guys saw something made in the U.S.? Matter of fact, even American flags. Okay, the flag's in the U.S., but the poles and everything else is made in China. So we've kind of done this to ourselves. And again, it's not too bad yet. But again, I'm in the medical field. I know Doug is too. I work for a bunch of hospitals, and even just getting supplies. I know I had this mask on it before, but that's a painter's mask, not really a medical grade mask. But there's already shortages with that, So this is not horrible yet, but it's going to be. So,
well, yeah,
it's a little worrying and concerning.
It depends if we feel the full brunt of it, because I don't know if you guys saw the reports today that China is on the mend. So that could be a good sign. That could mean like maybe another week of this, and maybe we'll be back up and running. We'll start getting notifications. But guys, if you recall back when we did this show with CES announcements coming, if you guys remember, everybody was screaming and mad because AtGames was on the show, and they wouldn't give dates as to when the pinball would ship or when the new cabinets were going to ship. And everybody was furious with them. I mean, they're in the chat room. You guys were furious. And I brought up and I said, look, they do this for a reason. They don't give it out because in January, anything can happen between now and a projected quarter. Here's a prime example as why companies don't give dates, because just like the TurboGrafx 16, we were like, oh yeah, a couple more weeks, and then all of a sudden gone. We don't know when it's going to come now. So
but it will. I mean, it'll eventually come out.
Yeah,
but there's delays.
But that's why they do this. That's why they don't give rock solid dates, because I mean, Travis, they want to get it in guys like you in your hands to review this stuff just as much as you want it. But I mean, you can't control an outbreak like this, right?
Yeah, and you got to think a lot of these things are shipped by water. So I literally just got something today that was ordered many weeks ago. So it just got out of there before things got bad. And you know, the delay is going to seep into when we start seeing things in America, because most things don't get flown over; they get put on a barge or something, a big ship, and then you're just waiting for it. So yeah, the delay for every week we have here is in arrears in a weird way over there as we wait for that to catch up. It's gonna be brutal for a while, but you know what? Listen, just wash your hands.
Yeah.
And let's all stay okay. And
Yeah.
then when things get better, we forget about this.
Right.
We can game them again.
Right.
We did see.
Right. I mean, it's also slightly blown out of proportion when you look at just regular flus. I mean, there's no comparison between the two. But right now, the media, you know, they need something to grab onto, and it's this thing.
Well,
many more people have died over the flu and other things than this. However, right now, you know, if you are someone who's got immunity compromised, an older person or a young child, you're gonna be more susceptible to it. But again, when you look at it statistically, the coronavirus is nowhere near just even the regular flu as far as people dying from it.
Well, and here's the other thing we have to take into consideration as far as the products go. I was talking to some different people, and they said that are from the area, the Bay Area, and they said as far as your eyes can see, there's barges just sitting out in the water that they will not allow them to port and dock to unload. Because everybody knows, as Travis stated, all the goods come in imported into his cargo bins, and they got to go through customs and all that good stuff. They will not even go near them to unload them until, you know, I don't know if it's after so many, and Glenn, maybe you can kind of answer that one, after so many days that the virus is not, you know, potent and they won't catch it. I don't know what that is, but maybe that's what they're waiting for.
It goes back and forth. Yeah, it goes back and forth. I mean, they're saying, you know, 10 days, you know, if it's basically, it's a contact type of virus. So if you were to touch a keyboard or a game controller or a TV set or something, and then touch your face in some way, within 10 days of being on a surface, you have the potential of getting it. But it's still not 100% sure that 10 days is the limit. It could be less, could be more. But definitely if someone was to, you know, sneeze on a door handle and you grab the door handle, obviously that's the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things that's very, very new. You know, it's a virus that kind of jumped species. You know, it was working with just bats, you know, and then the bats got jealous over Doug saying that the TurboGrafx 16 was not as good as Vega, and it jumped for it.
Well, so that's why we're not turning this into a medical show, but the reason we're telling you guys this is so you're aware and you don't go after these companies, because really Arcade1up, AtGames, all these companies, there's nothing they can do. They're in the same boat as we are, no pun intended. They can't really speed anything up. The virus has to take its toll, it has to run its course. And hopefully we see these devices. I seen a couple of guys here in the YouTube chat room, and they're saying, like, you know, hey, I pre-ordered NBA Jam last week, and they're hoping that you know, comes through. But you got to expect.
Well, some of the things were already in port. I mean, some things were here. I think some Burger Times were here, and probably some NBA Jams may have been here. Definitely not the full order, but some were definitely here, I think, before this whole thing even started. So there's potential that some people may get them.
So Travis, let's switch gears a little bit. I heard before you got on here, I heard that you had started an arcade. You bought a bunch of Arcade1ups and you got rid of them, and you got yourself an AtGames Legends cabinet. Why don't you talk a little bit about that? Like, how comes you didn't keep them? Why did you go that route?
Well,
let's kind of dive
so
into
I only got rid of one. So here's what happened. I grew up in arcades, like I think a lot of us who watch channels and stuff have done. Like there's a nostalgia there. There's a bunch of memories and friendships that I made in arcades that are unlike anything. So I've always wanted an arcade game growing up. Like it was never a thing though, because they were always $3,000. And it was always like you get the one game, and where are you going to put it? So when before Arcade1up or AtGames came out, I came across the My Games, My Arcades, small ones, and I had just started my YouTube channel, and I'm like, well, you know, I'm looking for things to review, and I love old school arcade games, and they have some pretty cool ones, so I'll grab one of those. And then the tiny arcades were out, and I'm like, oh, I love those too. So I have a bunch of those. I reviewed those on my channel. Then someone in a comment on one of my reviews said, hey, there's this guy that's converting the My Arcade into like a projector on the back. You should check him out. His name is Glen. I'm like, Okay. I wasn't sure if it was real or not. I'm like, but all right. I'm
Did
gonna
they
check it
say
out.
that he has like 5 of everything, right? They did tell you that? He has like 5 of
They
everything?
didn't tell me on that until I got over there. I'm like, what is happening? So then my mind blew up because I didn't know these things existed. Like I didn't know any of this other stuff existed. The only thing I knew was what you saw at like Walmart walking down the aisle, or maybe on Amazon because you went to Walmart and saw something. So then I started learning about these other things. And then when Arcade1ups came out, I'm like, oh, this is exactly what I wanted. I just kind of wanted one. So I got the Pac-Man just because it was the most iconic of the ones that came out at first. Then when Mortal Kombat came out, I about had a conniption because Mortal Kombat 1 and 2 and then 3 especially, by the time 3 came out, I was working in an arcade. I was like, I was over the moon. Like, I need to have this. So when that came out, I got that. Now I'm pretty much already out of room. For some strange reason, and I can't understand this, but it seems like people who collect arcade games also have home theaters for some reason. So I have them in my home theater, and I didn't know this until I started seeing people's videos, and I'm like, that's a screen. Like, what's going on here? We're just all nutcases for this stuff. Anyway,
I opted for 3 TVs in here instead of the big screen.
Well,
I got the big one behind me.
nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's almost like a bar or something down there, man. You could have parties down there.
Oh, we do. Yeah.
I can imagine, man. I'm so jealous. I need to figure out a way to do a tour this year and just go see people's like amazing places. But so what happened was I got Mortal Kombat, and then I got the 12-in-1 because I saw it at Fry's, and I was like, oh, this is cool. They have some of the games that I'm kind of missing, and I'm pretty much out of room at that point. But I'm like, listen, I need to have this. And then Star Wars, which is one of the games that I go to retro arcades in my area. I have to play that, and I it's bad, but I judge them based on whether or not they have Star Wars. If they don't have Star Wars, I don't think they're a real retro arcade. Is that bad?
Nope.
Is that wrong?
Nope.
Is that real? Is
Sounds
that a
right
thing?
to me.
Yes.
Sounds right to me.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
So
No,
I
you're
did that
good.
for a long time. I got it. I fell out. I was like, okay, it's $500. I'm just going to sell everything I can because I need to have that. So now I've got 4. I literally have no room. If you saw where they are, it's ridiculous. And then AtGames comes out. Well, I remember seeing the initial videos. I think it was late last year, and I'm like, that thing's never coming out because Glen had talked a little bit about like AtGames, their previous kind of failures and stuff, and I'm like, this thing's never going to come out. And then when it pre-ordered, I was like, it actually came. It's a thing. What? This is a thing. So I was like, oh my god, I have to get this. So I ended up giving my 12-in-1 to a friend because all those games are on this. And then as every week has come out, there's just more and more, like the way AtGames is so passionate about making this thing more than it was when it came out. I'm in love with it. Like that's my baby. My AtGames gets turned on every single day, and I'm just in love with the entire thing. And I love the meeting Glen and talking to Glen. Glen's done so many things for me behind the scenes. He's been such an amazing friend over the last year or so. We've known each other, and then just kind of getting pulled in this. And then I met Doug on Twitter. I met Doug at CES as well. It's just such a cool group that it's a passion of mine I've always had, but never knew that there was like a subsection of people that were doing it on YouTube. So I'm like super excited to even be like on this show and being able to talk about things that no one that I know in real life cares about.
Well, it's funny. It's funny you say that because I want to ask you something with the Legends, but I want to also go on record and state I was very anti the USB HDMI because I did not want to put a cable to my PC. So PK, if you're listening, I want you to hear this, okay? He knows I was not a fan of this, along with other people. I'm like, I don't want to add wires. So I ordered the wire and I hooked it up. Now I'm glad I did because I do see the difference in quality, and I think you kind of sold me on it when you said about exactly what you said about the menu system. It gets pixelated sometimes. I guess I really never paid much attention to it until I really paid it. Exactly. And then I was working with another Steve that's in the Secret Society that we don't talk about the Secret Society, but the Secret Society. And also on the main page, and he actually made some config files, and I was going back and forth with him because I couldn't get him to work, so I had to manually configure it. And so now it's configured with CoinOp, so I'm happy everything's working the way it did when it was brought over. But I was really impressed with that, but I still am going to go on record to say the stupidest feature that they've added to date, and I want to see if Travis, if you agree. And Glenn loves this. Yeah, see, look, look at him. Look at him. Is the stupid menu music. Why do you need that? Why? It's stupid.
What? It's nice to have versus want it and not have.
Oh, okay. So why don't you tell AtGames that they need to patent that statement, because that's what I hear from everybody. Travis,
true.
Give the man
It's
some.
true.
If you have music on your screensaver, you don't need music on your menu. Tell him.
I'll be honest. Of all the features that they've added, the background, being able to change your background, the intro, the screensaver, like I do all that. I do not have the music on.
Thank you.
I can't see a point to it. I think it's great that they listen to people and people wanted it, and that's how much that team cares. That really says a lot to me. But I don't use it personally.
No, you're right. For the guys that do like it, I apologize, but I don't apologize because I'm not going to use it.
That's right. That's right. You rescind what you said. That's right.
Oh, I'm not rescinding. I'm just saying it's stupid, and I'm still going to stay by that from now until the end of time. And PK's probably laughing right now because he knows how I feel about this. I was not a fan of that.
But he knows.
But
I know. But you know what? It's there. So what does that say? It's there.
You need a shirt that says AtGames. It's there. Just be glad.
Right.
So, but in all seriousness,
nice. I actually right now, I mean, I had it going back and forth. I have an arcade ambiance soundtrack. So when you used to walk into a game arcade back in the day, you walk into here, you hear Berserk, Pleiades, Space Invaders. It's in the background. You know what?
Just turn on your Arcade1ups and you'll get the ambient noise. You don't need that. You don't.
Not all games play it. Not all games play it at the same time. I want to hear Berserk, Phoenix, Space Invaders, Asteroids, Nibbler, Miss Pac-Man, all intertwined together, bringing me back to the days of those cigarettes falling off and falling into your hand and burning them. The guys with their beers spilling it all over you because they just got a high score and you get covered in beer. And you're 12 years old walking home and a cop goes, "Is that beer?" You're like, "Well, I was at an arcade with me, son." Those are experiences you got to have.
I kind of agree, but someone on the Facebook group mentioned that there is an actual skill on Alexa, which I have every single room, that plays the ambiance of old arcades. And I tried it, and it's awesome, and it works great.
Yeah, it's probably the same music. The only difference is you're now taking an extra 5 volts and causing more greenhouse gases by using another device when it's already on.
With 27 arcades behind him is not talking about greenhouse gases and saving the
right. This is what.
Wait a minute.
This is what I deal with every week.
You do as I say, not as I do. That's the
But
best.
I will say this.
Those jokes, that's what I can say.
I will say this. Travis hit the nail on the head when he said that at least AtGames is listening to the people that were stoned or on drugs that requested this feature. They did at least listen to him. So I applaud you, AtGames, for listening to those drunken, doped up people that wanted this feature. For the rest of us sane people, I don't know what to tell you. Just don't turn it on. No, I'm kidding.
Don't turn the feature on. But you know what? This is not a communist country. It's a country of options, and it's an option you can turn on, an option you can turn off.
Are you applying for a marketing job with AtGames? Is that what you're doing right now? Are you? Did Harold message you?
I am for freedom of choice. Although I don't drink Pepsi, I like Coke. But with that being said, I'm for freedom of choice, and I'd rather have the option there that you can use.
This is going to be a long show.
What would you think? What if they did a way, and I'm not saying they're going to, what if they had a way to stream like Spotify through it? Would that make it better or worse? Or would you not? Does it not matter?
I don't think me personally, I'm not going to do that because a lot of times I have some 80s tunes playing on my Google Home that's down here. So
yeah,
I don't see that being, anything that I would be interested in. But I'm sure there's people that are going to.
Are you saying because you don't want it, you should take the choice away from the thousands of other people who do want it?
No, I'm just as a free country, I'm voicing my opinion that I think this is a stupid feature. That's all. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that the thousands and the billions in attendance and the thousands that are watching on TV. It doesn't matter what you think.
Are we doing a meatballs thing? It just doesn't matter.
The Rock,
it
man,
just
The Rock.
Doesn't matter.
I'm going to
Rock,
take
man.
it and I'm going to turn it sideways and I'm going to shine it all up. And I'm not going to finish it. But my point, you're absolutely right. You know, there's people out there that, you know, I think it's making leaps and bounds. I mean, if you roll back in the firmware, even back to, like, if you have to do a factory reset and see where it was, Glenn, I think you beta tested it when it was there, right. and I know people are asking about your marquee.
Yep. Well, we'll get into that in a second. But when I originally got the very first unit, I mean, I wasn't impressed with it because it was just the games they already had. You know, they already had the Flashback Atari and the Flashback Coleco and some of these games. So, I mean, it was nice having all the controllers on there. Of course, at that point, it was my controller on there. Wink, wink. But in any case, it wasn't anything special. I just didn't see what was special about it. It wasn't until they released it and the firmware started, the Tesla style firmware started coming out there. And that's when it started shining, because AtGames, like I said, they're all listening, but AtGames is able to, since this is Wi-Fi connected, actually act on it quickly. And I mean, from when this thing was first even brought in my house to today, it's a way different machine. It's a way different machine. And it is very enjoyable, like I said, and it's very open to modding. As you can see, this is an Al Link marquee up here, and I love this thing. And
I'm still waiting for mine. So Al, if you're watching, let me know.
Yeah, Al, seriously, can we talk?
Yeah, we need to talk. Don't give Glenn all the good stuff.
Hey man, it's not about giving. It's about showcasing. Okay.
There you go. That's the word.
I'm telling you, he's applying for a marketing job. You can hear it.
The thing is, originally AtGames wasn't too interested in it. They said it was kind of nice, but it's not really what they wanted to do. But after they saw it, now Al and PK and those guys are talking, and it's coming out and more. I can't talk about the more, but there's actually more, if you can believe it or not, still coming from this machine.
I got one question before you continue on. Today is the 6th. We weren't supposed to have David McIntosh on until the 20th. So enough of this. Right. I can't talk about this stuff because we're going to hear all that on the 20th. I can't talk about this. Don't say you can't. We want to know, man. Come on.
Well, I know, but I'm not talking about ArcadeOne-up stuff. I'm talking about I can't talk about stuff with them. I happen to be under NDAs.
Oh, here we go.
Some things I can say, some things I can't say.
Here we go.
I'm sorry.
I'm under the NDA too, so you can tell me. We'll just let everybody else eavesdrop.
Yeah, everyone else don't listen.
Turn off your sound right now on the show.
Okay, close your ears, everyone. I'll tell you right now.
You know, I'll be frank though. I didn't know how I felt about the marquee when you first messaged, when you did that interview with Al. I was like, I don't know, because I seen it on the ArcadeOne-up, and I was like, I don't know if I would do that to my ArcadeOne-up. But I have to say, on the Legends, it looks sharp. It looks like I actually like that. It looks really, really cool.
What's really cool about it too is, as everyone who has one of these machines is, this portion down here, this portion up here would be completely unusable.
That's true.
Because it's not lit.
Yep.
You know, the backlight's only in the center. I mean, look at that. That just looks fantastic. It really does. And it still doesn't come across the camera as good as it does in person. And right now it's just running in a track mode. But I mean, you could do, you know, GIF files, animated GIFs on it. There's so much you could do with it. And with the virtual pinball coming out, he already supports DMD. So that's something with coin ops. I mean, he's supporting coin ops already. So you can have the DMD now go on that screen. I mean, it's just, some people say, you know, it's not a true TFT. No, it's not. Is it high res? No, it's not. Does it look cool? Yes, it does. I mean, that looks really cool. I'm sorry. And it's, again, another one of those passion projects. You know, the guy, Al, really put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into it, and he's supporting it. And, you know, I really do like it. I think anyone who gets it would enjoy it as well.
Yeah, and I'm definitely ordering one. I mean, I know it's spendy, but again, this is kind of my baby of my room. It's the one that I want to make the coolest, and it is substantially cool. And I respect the artistry that goes into making something like that. So I'm willing to spend the extra money for it, just based on you know, what I've seen so far.
So what is?
Well, and with that being said, real quick, I've been talking to Al, and I'm going to do me and my team are going to try and help him out and see if we can, get the cost down a little bit, because I think some people think it's a lot. I mean, 250. If we think of a regular light-up marquee can cost you $60 already.
But that's half
So
the
you're
price of
talking
the cabinet. $250.
Well, not of a Legends.
Well,
If
yeah,
you can
it's
find a
true.
Legends for 250,
No,
buy me
I
10.
said it's half the price of the Legends at $250.
Oh,
So if
well,
your
then-
Legends is 500,
well, then you are correct. Well, then you are correct in saying so, Mr. Mathematician.
All right, we're gonna hit the mute button on Glenn for a little bit. No, I'm just kidding. Remember, I'm the
point
one
is
with
that
the buttons.
We're going to try. I know you are. I'm just saying we're going to try.
No,
We're going to try and see if we can help. He wants to get the cost down. But with anything, the more you sell, the better price you can get with items. Right now, these are hand built, hand done, and I still think for the price it's not bad. But we're going to see what we can do to help them out if we can.
That would be good. I think a good price for that would be like $150. I think that would be
right.
If you can get it down. I understand there's a lot of craftsmanship that goes into it. I totally get it, but it's going to be hard to get people. Heck, I have a hard time swallowing even $250 to $300 for graphics for the side of these because I have a local vinyl guy, and I was talking to him about it, and he's just like, it should cost like $75 to print those graphics off. That's kind of what. And I'm all for supporting people and paying them for their time, but I think some of these vinyl guys are taking advantage of, now if they're designing the logo, if they're designing the artwork that's going on there, by all means, you got to charge for your time that's sitting there drawing it. I totally get it. But I'm not talking about the guys that we deal with normally, like Sabo and Mr. Profit and some of these other guys out there. These guys are designing stuff. Tyler's another one. I'm talking about. I've seen some fly-by-nighters, we'll call them, right? And I know people watching this know who I'm talking about. They're like, "Oh, I can do graphics," and it's like clip art from Google. But Travis, now that you've heard what I hate the most about this cabinet, and the feature that I hate the most, what is it? In all kidding aside, what is the big feature that you love about this cabinet that really kind of, you said it's your baby. So what makes it your baby besides playing all the games?
Well, so the thing that kind of attracted me to it was the being able to bring on your own games on USB. Like that was the first thing.
Mm-hmm.
Then when I started doing that, I was like floored. I thought it was great. I really thought it hit pinnacle. I'm like, I'm good. But what I didn't understand was that some of the games that I really like are they need a lot more power behind them than what this machine has. So when the ability to I think it first started when they had Bluetooth ability from the controller to a PC happened. I had an extra PC I wasn't really using that was, it's okay. It does the job. I'm like, okay, well, let me just move that into where my machine is to the side, and let me see if that is something I'd be interested in, because I realized that a lot of my arcade playing back when I worked in an arcade was on fighting games. So a lot of the stuff that I like playing, like Burger Time and stuff like that, was cool. But the time that I would spend the most in an arcade was always fighting games, and the ones that I wanted to play were like Tekken and stuff like that, where you just needed a more powerful processor. So now that being the case, CoinOps has taken my love of this thing to another level. I just wish that CoinOps could live in the machine itself rather than having an extra PC. But that has really, like, I'm playing NFL Blitz now, and I didn't play it nearly as much as I do now. But things like that, I just love playing that machine. CoinOps has changed my life, and I had no idea that it existed, like a month and a half ago.
Well, let me ask you guys something.
You know the coolest thing about what he just said is options.
Oh, here we go. Here we go again with the marketing spiel here. I was just gonna say, at what point, and this is no slam against AtGames, this is no slam against anybody that's requested features, but it's going to come across as a slam. At what point do you say that this is just another MAME cabinet? At what point? Because I agree that I really like the interface of CoinOps. I'm with Travis on this one. But AtGames still has to have their flavor there to make it an AtGames cabinet. So at what point do we say that this is just another MAME cabinet made by AtGames to allow unlimited configurations? Because that's my fear with all this, because now we're adding PCs to this, right? We're adding Raspberry Pis. We're adding all these capabilities to it. that are kind of outside the normal scope of modding, as far as, you know, marquees and graphics and all this other stuff. What point do we say, okay, this is just a MAME cabinet, and AtGames isn't going to care because you're just going to continue buying it? But you see what I'm saying on this, Glenn? What I mean,
Yeah.
what do you, or Travis?
No, we've talked about this a lot, but we've discussed it. Let's have Travis have a say on that one.
I think you're right. That's definitely a concern. But I think what AtGames does with their software alone is pretty darn cool, and the things they keep adding. The only reason that I have CoinOps is because the processor in the existing piece of hardware doesn't support the games that I wanted to. If it did, I wouldn't be adding my PC to it. I would just add my games on USB and then be done. And I would prefer that, because they're adding things like leaderboards and stuff, which you're not going to get with MAME. So they're doing a lot of work to build a community. The fact that you can play each other online is crazy to me. You have your little friends list and everything. Like that's some really cool stuff that, you know, kind of before this, you didn't really have that option. MAME was, it was on your computer, and if you had someone come over, that's one thing. But the making it a connected machine, to me, is the big difference.
Well, and that's why I'm kind of putting this out there, you guys, because Glenn, I mean, this is something we've discussed at nauseum, but you know, people always ask, well, why would I buy an AtGames Legends Ultimate cabinet? And this, you know, not that we're trying to turn this into an AtGames promotional show here, but people are like, well, why would I buy an AtGames? I could just go buy a, you know, there's companies out there that make cabinet frames. I could throw a PC in it and just do it. But what you said,
you want to bring up a wrestling friend?
Yeah, well, you could talk to a little bit about yeah, about Stevie Richards. You guys know Stevie Richards, or Michael Mann, as I always call him. That's a prime example, and he's
right.
one
that's the answer to the question you were going to ask. That was the answer. Why don't I just buy a shell and do it myself? Because not everyone has that ability. Just point blank. I mean, we're doing. I mean, obviously, I'm doing things here. A lot of people make a lot of modifications to it, but trust me, for every one of these, there's hundreds of people just take out of the box, set it up, and play just what's on there, and that's enough. I'm the extreme. Steven, you're the extreme.
Yeah.
Retro Ralph, extreme. I mean, Travis, as I'm dropping my stuff over the floor, is an extreme. So, you know, not everyone does all this type of stuff. So the answer to your question is, for the people who don't have the ability to do such things, even CoinOps, as easy as CoinOps is, you still need to know how to unzip something, how to put it on the machine. You'd be surprised. We know it, but a lot of people don't.
Configuring is the hardest part with that. Travis, I don't know if you had any problem. Like, I know when we used the built-in software, the Arcade Link, it was everything just worked. But when you do the USB to HDMI, there's a lot more configuring going on with that.
Yeah, so to Glenn's point, I actually bought AtGames because I didn't want to have to put together a MAME machine. Like, I don't have time for that. I don't really want to have to deal with that. The only reason that I ended up doing things like CoinOps is because I saw with a little bit of time and effort, I could get a lot more out of it. But in general, the only reason I bought it is because it was right there. I could USB a game in, I can copy a file to a USB stick, and I'm good, right? So for the longest time, that's all it was. But yeah, I mean, once I kind of started to go down the rabbit hole, I was like, okay, there's a little bit more to this, and I have a little bit of experience with some like config files and stuff, so I played around with it a little bit. But I also had some help from RS, so that was really nice. And yeah, I mean, it's listen, I don't like things like torrents and stuff. I try not to use any of that stuff, so that was a little bit worrisome. But beyond that, the reward on the other side of that, it's just amazing.
Yeah,
but I just wish, and it's all you don't have to do any of that as long as you give the power. This is what I told PK. I was like, literally, if you just take out that the joystick with the processor on it, come back with a new version of it with 8 buttons instead of 6, and a much more powerful processor, I don't need my PC. Just put it in there. I'm good.
But that's going to up the cost in it. Go ahead, Glenn. Sorry.
Yeah, as an expense.
What's this torrents? What is that?
I don't know.
Torrent?
It's a guy that isn't it in California?
It's kind of like the secret society. You don't talk about the secret society if you're in the secret society.
You don't talk about the secret society.
Right.
Oh, you mentioned them like 3 times. You're gonna disappear.
but I think a lot of people feel that way. There's a lot of guys out there, and I'm like you, Travis, there's a lot of guys out there. You know, we mentioned Ralph. Ralph does a lot of crazy mods. He'll be the first one to tell you, is it practical? Probably not. Like, he went through that massive mod with the Toy Shock. He even said he wasn't going to do it, but then he ended up doing it. And people asked him, they said, you know, was it worth it? And he's like, no, I wouldn't do that. I would go buy, but I mean, at least he's being honest. And I kind of feel that same way about the Arcade1ups. Like, I modded one of them. I put a Raspberry Pi. I had a Raspberry Pi. I know enough about Linux to be dangerous. Like, my kids don't even see any of the Linux stuff boot up when it goes in. It just goes right into, you know, the emulation station.
But, you know,
is a project, but I don't want to do that. Level, I don't want to do that.
No, but when you get, there's a different thing. Like with cars, I mean, someone buys a, you know, a 1975 Chevy Nova for $50, and they throw $4,000 in a new engine and parts. It's not about that. It's about the fun of making something yours, your own. So there's two different parts to it. There's the people who just buy it to play with it, and then there are just people who naturally have to get into the guts and change it. I mean, I can't tell how many, you know, tiny arcades I bought for like $12. I throw Raspberry Pis in there and batteries and charging circuits. It's like $200 for a $12 toy.
There's something wrong with you.
It's not about that.
There's something wrong with you.
Yeah, we know that. We know that. But the point is, if you're when you're spending money, you can't say I just spent $300 on doing all these things to it. You did it because you wanted to. You did it because you saw something, you envisioned something in your head beyond what the manufacturer did. You wanted to make it special.
But at what
that's where it goes.
But at what point do you say enough is enough? Like, I was one, even though I had a Mac computer, I had a Mac Pro, I still always wanted to take a Dell and Hackintosh it, because the Dells were the easiest ones to Hackintosh. I would do it for my friends just because they wanted to run a Mac, they didn't want to spend the money. And, you know, you could get IDNeb or, you know, any of the other builds out there. And I mean, for the most part, it's plug and play. All the Kex files, everything's there, you know. But then it came to a point where it's like, I ain't got time. Like Travis said, I ain't got time for this, man. I just want to.
Wouldn't that make? Would it be easier nowadays to make a Hackintosh in a virtual PC, and then it wouldn't matter the platform?
Well, at the time you couldn't do that because Macintosh wasn't Intel based, and now that's a whole nother story. But even now, like, you know, Travis brought up about BYOG. I mean, you don't, if you have CoinOps running, you don't really. I don't know the last time I used my BYOG, my own thumb drive, because I've been using CoinOps for those same same, right? I mean, those same games. If you're going to use,
but again, remember, not everyone is going to have access to get CoinOps. CoinOps is a large,
I'm not saying
download.
I'm not saying get rid of the feature. I'm just saying at this point, I spend less and less time in the AtGames interface, and what I don't want to see, and this is me speaking as somebody that I've been working with the company. I like what they're doing. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to see it lose its luster where, like Travis said, where you're getting it for even their software, like, because they are doing some cool things, like the I can't think of the name of it right off the top, but the PC in the cloud, My Game Room, right? They are doing some cool stuff like that for people that don't have it, but I also think that they still need to keep the fundamentals of the cabinet. Like people are buying Arcade1ups, like you said, Travis. They're buying it for that particular game. Like, I don't want to lose that. Like, I don't put Mortal Kombat on those other machines because I have the Arcade1up. I don't put Turtles on the other. Right, because you want that authentic experience as much as you can, right?
Right.
So
yeah, I don't, any of the games that I own in Arcade1up, I don't play on my AtGames. But then there's a lot of games on AtGames that now that I know the space, especially like fighting games, and when I was at CES, I did get to play like all the new AtGames stuff. It then suddenly felt cramped for like fighting games. So like the Mortal Kombat that I have, while you can have two people side by side, you get used to that. You're like, oh, it's fine. Then you go to AtGames, you're like, oh, I actually have room now. So yeah, but for the most part, any of the games I have in AtGames, or on Arcade1up, I don't put on my AtGames.
What about you, Glenn? Do you put any of, like, the ones that you have on your Arcade1ups, do you put them on your AtGames, or people in the chat, do you do that?
He puts them on his tiny arcade. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I know, that's the wrong question.
Ask me that question? Was that really a question to me?
One of these times he's going to come on, and you're going to see all these cabinets like this behind him that are all going to be playing Tron. And that's all you're going to see, is just every cabinet's going to be running Tron, and that's it. If Glenn has Tron, he's happy.
I love I'm not
The
gonna lie.
Tron virus. Tron virus,
I love-
man. I want to
just-
see Tron 3. Disney. Okay, we're gonna go back to Kathleen Kennedy. Well, I even heard Disney.
Oh,
I
here we
want Tron
go.
3. I want my
I
third
do
Tron
too.
film.
I do too.
Right? See?
I do.
You made her mad
Awesome.
last week, Glenn, with your rant. She's not going to do anything for you.
I did, and she actually wrote me. She actually wrote me, believe it or not. I actually had a letter from her.
I'm sure.
No, I
don't
didn't.
believe
I really did. I did, but I didn't.
I mean, look,
Believe it or not, I don't believe it.
he's got all those Tron joysticks behind him there. I mean, the guy can't get enough of Tron there. So
I love Tron. That's another video game that I also judge arcades by whether or not they have that game.
I wonder, like, if we get to the point where we're overdoing it, right? That's all I'm saying. Listen, I'm not saying people out there, like you said, you're modding the little things. I'm just not into that, man. Like I'll tell you, this is how frustrated I got, right? So this week I figured out, because I don't get in these mini consoles, but Patton plays. Him and I have been going back and forth. If you didn't subscribe to him on YouTube, go subscribe to him, because he does killer tutorials when it comes to mini consoles. So that's my plug for him, because he's helped me out tremendously, and I'll be the first to admit it. With the Super Nintendo Mini, he helped me with that. We figured out we were using the wrong software. But then I started playing around with my Sony PlayStation, because I was like, So I watched a few videos. Then I realized you have to hack the firmware in order to use one of those cables in the back, the Y-splitter cables for the power. And I couldn't understand for the longest time. I had to plug it in the dang Player 2, controller port on that. So I did that hack and I put it in, so it looks really nice in my setup. But then I started diving into the 256 gigabyte Bleem Sync, and I thought it was just plug and play. You unzip the first file and you're off and running. Yeah, that's not the case. So Patton, if you're watching, probably gonna get an email in a couple. I really don't see that type of stuff. That just drives me nuts, because it's like there's no instruction. People just kind of throw it out there, and I think that's the frustrating point. And I think if there's a lot of guys out there doing mod videos on Arcade1up, on the AtGames, I don't think the mod community would be where it's at if for these machines, if people weren't doing videos. Glenn?
I'm sorry, I was in the chat room. I'm sorry. I totally missed what you said there. I apologize.
See, I know when he's not paying attention. Do you notice that? I caught him with his coronavirus down. I got it.
That was trying to answer a poor soul in the chat room, man. I apologize.
Likely story. But wouldn't you guys agree that the reason the modding, I'll repeat it for Glenn.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
See, when you get old and senile like Glenn.
You got to talk in this ear.
Yeah,
okay?
when you get old and senile like Glenn, you can't do two things at one time. You can't walk and chew gum at the same time. You can't do. Okay.
No, I bite my lip.
Don't you think that a lot of these mods are happening because there's more and more videos going out with these types of cabinets, Arcade1up, and that, where the mini consoles aren't popular yet?
Absolutely. I mean, that's my channel started way back when, doing, hacking on these things. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of people would like to do it. And again, not a lot of people know how to do it. I mean, that's what's great about the community as well, is that someone will do it and show, and then it can expand out from there. But like the PlayStation Mini, I mean, that was garbage when it was released. But when you hack it, it's actually really good. I mean, the processor's fine on it, and the design of it's great. Just the interface and software they gave was garbage. So as long as you can fix that, it's fine. The Sega Genesis Mini, fortunately, you can hack that too and put TurboGrafx 16 games on it and make it better.
Nah.
So there's all kinds of things you could do.
You keep Genesis games on Genesis Minis. You keep TurboGrafx games on TurboGrafx Minis. We went over this last week. Stay up with the rest of the class.
I'm not that way. I'm that way. You put good games on everything. The end. I'm not that way.
Doug, if you're watching this, you need to come back. I need some
He
help.
is. He's on a flight. He's on his flight back from China.
Thank
He already destroyed the factory. He's not in Disney. We know where he is.
Travis, before we
he
go,
couldn't get back in time for the show. Remember? You know why? Because he's got a long flight. He could have made it back if he was in Disney, but he's not in Disney. Maybe it's in Disney in Tokyo.
Travis, before we wrap this up, can we get the post show? Do you play with any of the mini consoles? Did you pick up any of the mini consoles at all?
I didn't get. I really wanted, of course, the NES Mini when it came out. Of course, that was practically impossible to get for any kind of decent amount of money. And then by the time it came back around the year after, I had kind of found my games and stuff like that, my arcade. So no, I didn't get any. And now that I have this stuff, like the only thing that I'm even considering getting, if they did a mini Dreamcast, I might actually get that.
Oh yeah.
Except
do
that
that. Someone's gotta do
except that Sega said they will not be doing that.
Yeah, if there's cash behind something, anyone's gonna do anything.
I know.
Be dumb not to do it.
I know, but they asked them. I saw an article with it because I was trying to find out, because I said this, I would buy it even though I have a real Dreamcast. I would buy it, but they said they said they're not going to do that.
Yeah, I don't buy that. If anything, they're just saying that to throw you off. But there's no way they would not. There's no way. The Sega Saturn one, toss up. I mean, some people like.
I want a Saturn because I never had a Saturn.
Saturn is it's a good machine. It is.
Yeah.
But Dreamcast, no matter what people could say about Sega, that was their finest hour. The end.
I agree.
That was a great console. Even to this day, you turn that sucker on, it's a great experience. They'd be stupid not to come out with one.
So this
amazingly dumb.
The Super Nintendo Mini is also astronomically priced if you can find one. They're like 150, 160 bucks. I happened to find a lady that bought a Super Nintendo Mini brand new for her grandson for Christmas. Somebody else got him one, and so she's been holding on to it, trying to sell it for, what did I say, 79 bucks, $80, 80 bucks, 79, 89
bucks. It was
like
79 new.
Brand
$10 more.
New, receipt in hand. Everything was brand. Like, I could have taken it back to the store and got got 99 bucks for it. $89. She sold it to me. I met her on Facebook Marketplace. Met her at the gas station near me. And
that's
brand
not
new.
Shady. That's not shady at all.
Brand new, and it was we have a rest stop. It's kind of, I call it a gas station, but it's a rest stop for trucks and stuff. So there's restaurants and stuff there. But anyways, taped, everything sealed. I couldn't believe it, and so I was like, sold. I'll meet you there in 10 minutes.
Yeah, jeez.
Yeah, I couldn't pass that up. So I don't know. I kind of like the mini consoles, honestly. I think, I'm not like a Metal Jesus where I got to collect every video game that comes out and I have it lined up in here, which is cool. I mean, that works for him. I like to be, when you play, everything's in there. I don't have to worry about my kids scratching up discs. I don't have to worry about when people come over. Like Travis, you said, I got a lot of young nieces and nephews, and we have family get-togethers. It's nice to just flip the switch and they can play whatever games are on it, and I don't have to worry about broken or lost games. So the mini consoles for me work, but I may be taking a trip to a pawn shop this weekend to get a TurboGrafx 16 because Glenn indoctrinated me in the last 8 hours about a certain chip that you can put inside of it so you can play any and every game that the TurboGrafx 16 ever made. That appeals to me.
And right, like anything, there's nothing like the real thing. And the minis are nice, they're fine, but they're still emulation. You can't beat the real thing.
Right.
But I actually have one question, because I know what show is going to be wrapping up soon, and I don't want you saying, Glenn, it's soon. Let me get it in now. Just for Travis, as I say for Travis. So Travis, I know we talk about the video games here, but you're a tech reviewer. So what is like your favorite piece of tech? I know you do a lot of cell phones. I mean, is that your thing? What is but you also do speakers. What's your favorite piece of tech and your favorite one you reviewed?
And this is going to sound disingenuous, but it legitimately is right now my AtGames. It really is right now. Wow. Probably second best would be my my Rodecaster for my podcast that I'm going through right now. I just was really surprised by it, but I'm not having as much joy with anything in my house, as much tech as this house has, as that right now. I can say that definitively. I don't know that I would have known that going into it, but for sure, again, I grew up not only going to arcades, but working in a couple arcades, including when I first moved out to Seattle. Like on weekends, I remember I would save up all my money. I was going to college, didn't make much money. I would say, okay, I got $5 I can spend. I would get on the bus, 45 minutes to the mall, go to the arcade, play for as long as I could, and then eat at the food court, and then come home. Like I would look forward to that every weekend. So to have it here in my house, there's nothing like that nostalgia at all. There just isn't. And the only thing that would be better is if, like, I don't know if this would be better or worse, people coming in and out and playing games and having that kind of camaraderie. There's just nothing like that. So nothing else that I have, which I have a lot of cool stuff. it even matches that.
But Travis, because I did the same thing. I'm from the tech industry, the broadcast industry. Like you, get sent tons and tons of review, and I have to 100% agree with you. I do. I have smart objects that people send, smart deadbolts and things that they want reviews on, and that's kind of why I made the transition over to this retro gaming world with all the stuff that was going on, because like you said, it brings you joy. It really does. It takes you back, and it gives you a purpose of why you're doing videos on this stuff, and you get excited about it. Where the tech is just, am I right? The tech's just oversaturated. It's like, oh, great, another smart device I got to review.
I mean, it's cool. There's some cool stuff. Don't get me wrong.
Of course.
But just to give you here's the biggest proof positive. I don't go on Facebook at all, except now to the groups, the game groups. I literally don't even look at my homepage. I go type in AtGames and Arcade1up, but like that's it. I don't go to my own timeline. I don't say hi. I got messages galore. I don't look at none of them. I literally am going to the game groups, and I haven't. Before I was doing this, I don't go on Facebook hardly at all anymore. That's the only reason I go to Facebook. If that doesn't tell you enough, I don't even know what to tell you.
Well, no,
Travis, you take PayPal, or am I supposed to give you my credit card number for the plug? What was that?
And that's right. And Glenn's the man for that. I mean, literally, like, I have to thank Glen, because seriously, like, behind the scenes, outside of YouTube, he's been so incredibly nice to me. He's made and done things for me. I don't want to make a big deal about it, but he's done some really incredible things for me. He's an incredible guy. I'm absolutely proud to call him a friend, and he's opened me up to something. He kept talking about ETA Prime, who before I started watching his channel, I had no idea who that was. So then I just recently started watching ETA Prime stuff, and then I saw a video from him last night where he got one of those little Android boxes for $45, and now he's playing. I'm like, well, now I want to do that.
Yep.
So he's opened my eyes to a lot of things, including you guys, and I couldn't be more thankful. So just super excited.
ETA Prime, just to warn you, it's dangerous. You've discovered him.
Yeah.
You're ruined now. Forget it.
It seems that way.
Forget it. You're ruined. You're just, you might as well just, I'm not worthy. I'm surrendered. It's just.
But you know what? No, it's different though. ETA can get these things, but he'll sell them off and have a place to live.
Sure.
Us, literally, I'm concerned this ceiling's gonna come in on me and be crushed under Atari cartridges.
One of these days, if he tunes into the show, or one of these days, if you have him on here, I'm gonna talk to him. I'm like, you need to do a review of an arcade cabinet and dress your hand up like Dr. Claw from Inspector Gadget, and it will literally go viral. I'm telling you right now, because that's all you see of the man is just his arm.
Yeah.
It's it's Dr. Claw.
Does he have an actual face?
Because if you see his face, it'd be like an angel. You'd be blinded by his beauty. You're just like.
Well, I look at this and I go, he's got a shtick and he doesn't even know how to use it. Like you could totally triple your views just because he's got that mystique about it. But I don't know. I enjoy being over here. I enjoy doing these shows with these guys and having a ball here. Except when Glen, starts going off on his rants and his coronavirus. And before we wrap this, do you realize, because we got a few minutes here, do you realize last show you wore those ears the whole show? I don't think you intended to do that, but you did it.
The what? What'd I do?
Those Star Wars Mickey ears? You wore them the whole show.
Yes, I did. I did it because Doug was going on his trip to China Disney.
I thought you were only putting them on for a little bit, and I'm like, I'm not going to say nothing. I am going to let him sit through the whole show wearing those things. And people were messaging me like, did Glen know he had those ears? I said, I don't think so. I think he forgot that they were on.
Yeah. No, I did. You know what? The last time they were on was last time I was in Disney. They've been sitting on a shelf, so I figured, you know what? Put them on. Show off my ears. Like Kathleen Kennedy know how she ruined the last 3 films. That's all. Just trying to help her out.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. We'll save that for the post show. Guys, we put the link in the chat room. Those of you that are still here, we see a bunch of you guys still in here. I put the link in the chat room. Make sure you guys call in. We'd love to hear from you. Maybe you want to talk to Travis. Got some questions for him and what he does. But Travis, again, for the podcast and wrapping this up for the video cast, we appreciate you coming on here. Plug away, my man. Plug away. Tell everybody where they can find you.
You can find me in the comment section of Retro Ralph and of Cool Toy 23 and Glenn's Retro Show And Tech Buzz. I'm gonna be in all the comment sections and on Facebook, but only in like the Arcade1up and AtGames forums. That's where you can find me.
And you can subscribe to his channel, youtube.com/TravisMCP. We encourage you guys to go over and do that. Again, Travis, we really appreciate you coming on, man.
No, it's totally my pleasure. Absolutely.
And we'll definitely be having you back on. And also Mr. Planetomato. Yeah, Mr. Planamento.
I'm telling you, Travis is a really good guy. You know, he really is. It was a pleasure having him on today. And when we're done, he has to do our extra as well. He does the intros on the show and extras. But honestly, Travis is just such a down-to-earth guy. He's just an all-around good person. Everything that I'm not is Travis right there. He's a good guy. So, and I want to say one other thing. You know, I've been reaching out to ETA Prime for a while, and I'm hoping he'll accept an invitation to come on. And with what Steve said, we can do ETA. We can actually have just a photograph of the cat and the Mr. Claw hand on here and just your voice, buddy.
No.
So
what we'll do is we'll record a 30-second clip of him moving his hand, and nobody will be the wiser. Nobody will know that he was actually on camera.
You know what? You give me an idea. We'll talk off camera.
Okay.
We can't talk about this here.
Okay. Oh, am I under the NDA? Is that what it is?
You're going to be. I have to send you one. I got to send you my NDA.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, anyways, guys, we really appreciate it. I'm not going to sign us off. I was told Travis is going to do it. So you guys can check me out. Find me, the Tech Buzz, just about everywhere. I won't bore you and go down the line. Stick around. We got post-show. And Travis, take us home.
Thank you for joining us. Hope to see you again real soon. Peace and love. Peace and love.